Well, despite the less than perfect flying conditions today, I think the F-86 did a great job considering the wind.
Yeah, we took it up in 5-6 mile an hour winds.
Yes.
And we could actually fly it, and not just fly it like, oh, we're just weather vaning.
No.
We could fly it. We could actually fly into the wind, fly crosswind, flying downwind, and bring it for landing and stuff. So,
well, let's jump into the review. We'll start with model characteristics. Build as advertised. We have it as a 5 out of 5.
Yeah, this is a TXR plane, and all we really had to do is snap the landing gear on and charge up the battery, and then just bind it to our AnyLink module, which we have in the back of our transmitter we showed earlier. So it was a really easy, simple process. It only took a couple minutes to go through it, read the directions, and then just do the binding, and it was up and going and worked great.
Yep.
Dialed some expos into it and some rates into it, and we'll go ahead and have those down below in the details online and also on our mobile app, so you can dial yours in if you get one. And it really worked out well. It was actually factory recommendation, the expos and rates were. So I was very comfortable with it today. Even in the massive wind, it flew well.
Finish, we gave it a 4.5 out of 5. We mentioned as soon as we saw it how detailed it was. The panel lines, they did a great job of capturing those. The decals, I still don't know what these decals are made out of or how they're actually applied, but they sink in. If anybody's ever familiar with any kind of water slide decals, you know, you can put a solution over them, like for different modeling, like railroads and stuff, and it nestles into every crevice, and that's exactly what you're getting with these decals. It really looks like it's paint.
Yep, it does look like paint. It picks up all the body lines nicely.
It does.
So it is. In the air, it looks just like an F-86 Sabre.
It does.
It's
definitely
really,
does.
really funny.
Okay, power, we gave a 4.5 out of 5.
Yeah, it has a ducted fan in it. You know, and the big question was, ducted fans the size, how much thrust is it actually going to have? And it has quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's not greater than 1-to-1 by any means, but it's darn close to, you know, a good 40, 45 degree climb out in stale winds. And then in our headwind today, it didn't lack for power by any means. So we had some really good thrust out of the EDF, and I noticed it on my crosswinds when I was making my downwind turns and I was coming back and fighting that wind. I could punch the throttle on it, and the EDF would push it right through the curve.
I was surprised at how fast it would respond to a throttle input too. There was no delay.
Yeah,
really.
very quick response. Yep, and you could watch it actually when you blip the throttle. You could see the nose twitch on you. So it was a very quick and responsive EDF.
Ground handling takes kind of a hit here. It's a 3 out of 5.
It has a fixed nose wheel, which we said, you know, we identified right out of the box, and you can pretty much forget turning it.
Yeah, it won't turn.
Not really. I mean, I watched them do a little bit of turning indoors with it, and I don't know if that was because they were playing a crooked nose wheel.
or we didn't see if it was always going the same way.
Yeah, exactly. It might always been nice right-hand turns, but you know, it just is what it is. It's pretty much a point and shoot.
Yeah.
But it comes in really nice on the landing.
It does.
Once it gets in ground effect, it really settles down. And what you're going to find is it's got a funny little transition. When it gets into ground effect, it starts feeling like just this beautiful glider, like it could go forever. And then it wants to, in that final little sit down, it's bouncy on the landing gear, and it'll actually, you're going faster than you think.
Yeah.
And the first time we brought it in, it was coming in, and it pushed through that flare and touched down and went boing, right? Just nose right back up, and I mean it cleared 2 feet in the air.
Yeah.
It was like, whoa, where did this come from? So you got to bring it in, bleed off that speed, you know, bleed it off, and keep the power on. I mean, typical with an EDF is you do keep some of the power on to keep that nose up and let it keep slowing down through the flare.
Well, you've got to pretty much fly it to the ground, but not aggressively fly it. Just keep it.
In fact, a big thanks to Frank Knoll for the tip on landing it. We were out at E-Fest, and he was showing us the right way to get into that ground effect and the right way to set it down. So Frank helped a lot there, and helping our first landing be more of a success than it probably would have been on its own.
All right, that leads us to durability, 4 out of 5.
Durability 4 to 5, yeah, it's foam. It really, when we brought it in and it did its nose blip, it came back down right on the intake, and it didn't even mess it up.
And there's really a nice hard plastic ring on that, I think, for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. All it does is pop the canopy off. Pop the canopy off, and which is magnetic, and you just pop it back on. So it was really tough.
Yep.
You're gonna have to watch the horizontal surfaces, the control surfaces, and the wings, especially this horizontal. Really easy to get your hands on it, bend it, crack it, snap it. So, and we caught ourselves today getting our palms around it, and it's just typical micro. You got to be careful.
Okay, pilot experience, flight as advertised, 4 out of 5.
All right, the next big section. To really try to sum up it, the F-86 needs to be flown. And when I say that, you need to keep your speed up a little bit. It's not like you have to be on the throttle nonstop because it glides extremely well.
Yes.
You have good tail authority as you come around and glide into your approach. If you want to cut the throttle from higher altitude and maybe bank into a nice low approach, it's going to fly just beautiful for you with the power off. So it's not a bad glider. It's when you start to get that pitch up, that nose up attitude, and you're about 20-25 degrees in, you got to start pouring the coals on a little bit. It's gonna eat up any of that velocity it has pretty quickly. I think just based on the airframe design, and you're gonna have to push it through that, or you're gonna find yourself stalling when you're banking and climbing out. So, but it has plenty of power, plenty of thrust. And I was a little bit nervous after watching it fly at EFest and seeing all different pilots kind of get their hands on it, and some with all different levels of experience. I was a little concerned about it, but as soon as I took off, I knew I had the authority. I knew it was there. It just had to be flown. So. Give yourself the benefit of the doubt as you're getting used to that stall, and get a couple mistakes high, and watch your downwind turns. That's where it wants to bite you. You know, it wanted to bite me on the downwind. I actually got bit on the upwind turn too. When I was banking into the upwind, it stalled out on me once, but I was high enough to. It immediately wants to flip over. Like I probably pulled heavy up elevator. It wanted to flip over its top, and it dropped maybe about 4.5–5 feet. And started recovering immediately out of the velocity. So it's manageable. Just get it up there and get used to its tendencies. But it could be worse. That could be on the ground. It could be someplace where you're really compromised. It'll do it up in the air.
You're not going to bring this in low to the ground, as slow, nose up, get it into a stall and play with it like you see a lot.
No, you got to commit to the landing. You get in there, get in the pocket, and set it down.
You have to fly it.
So yep.
Okay, that leads us to flight time. 3.5 out of 5. This thing doesn't give you a whole lot of time to play.
It has a 200 milliamp, 7.4 volt 2S LiPo on it, and it's warm when you pull it out. After today's flying, we were pretty heavy in the throttle because we were in wind, of course. Every time we were making our turns, we had to hammer the throttle. We only got a few minutes out of the flights, and the battery's a little warm. So, in fact, when we got our sample, they gave us 2 batteries. So, and I quickly realized why. Keep one charging while you're flying the other one. And we got fairly short run times, but good power delivery throughout the course of that run time. So.
Okay, field size. We've got a large Parker field.
Yep, absolutely. This thing it needs some room. It's not your typical backyard flyer micro. If you've got a big yard, you're gonna be fine with it. Pop the landing gear off and belly land it. But
well, I think if you get in too small an area, you're going to run into what we were talking about earlier with that stall. You're going to find yourself constantly stalling this thing out.
As soon as you have good tail authority, you're going to get up on your bank, and you're going to try to stay inside a tight space, and all of a sudden it's going to start slipping on you. The tail's going to start slipping down, and you're going to find yourself right in the middle of that stall. So that's a good point, Rob.
Portability, 4 out of 5.
It's the only reason it didn't get a 5 out of 5 since it has a nice foam, blow mold foam,
whatever you want to call it,
styrofoam cup box you can put it in. The problem is
styrofoam cup.
It's a big styrofoam cup. Well, it's a fancy kind of shaped styrofoam cup, but you have to take the landing gear off to get it back in the box. To get it back in the box and put all the pieces in and close it, you got to take the landing gear off. And it's very common, this design for the landing gear, the way it pops on and pops off. It's pretty stiff by nature. You don't want it popping off in air, so you got to kind of get a hold of it, maybe a little pair of pliers to pull them off. So it's not the quickest thing to just grab, and it's not like a friction insertion or something. It's actually that slide clip. So it took a little bit of a hit there, but it's so small. Stick it in your front seat. Just be careful of the horizontal stabilizer, like I said, and you'll be able to take it to the park in a heartbeat. So.
Skill level, we've got it as an intermediate, and I think we explained why. It makes total sense that you're not going to take a beginner and hand him this and say, go have fun with it and fly.
Nope, it's not a trainer at all. No. So you're going to want to be able to have some decent reaction times and understand what's happening. That's really the key.
Well, ducted fans are a completely different animal as opposed to a prop plane. If you had a prop on the nose of this, you'd be talking something completely different.
Fly totally different. So absolutely, it's an intermediate skill level. Well, that wraps up our review of the F-86 Sabre from Great Plains. Actually a rare thing, a micro from Great Plains, as we mentioned before. And I think I did a good job. I think if you fly it within its flight envelope, it's a good experience and it's a good flyer. It's really understanding of the pros and cons. Hopefully this has helped you out a little bit with some of those
well, it needs to be flown like a bigger EDF. It needs to be treated exactly like a bigger one. Because it's smaller, doesn't change that.
You got to fly it. You definitely do. You can check out the full review at our website at tobefly.com. For our mobile users, you can go to rcflightsource.com and download the mobile app, and then we'll have everything from the website and some additional tools and a field locator and a parts locator and stuff like that on the go. I'm Kurt with Two Brothers Hobby.
And I'm Rob. Thanks for watching.